Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Observable Flutter. My name is Craig Labenz, and I'm your host. And today, I'm going to be just kind of experimenting, kind of hanging out, getting people's opinions about stuff. Looking forward to writing a little code. Not planning on using a lot of AI today, though I am going to be setting myself up for potential agentic development down the line with this little reusable starter app that I'm going to be working on. So that's the agenda. But before we get too far into it, do recall, folks, it's the Flutter community, and we hold ourselves to a high standard. All right. First of all, audio check. How do I sound today? Are volume good? Am I coming through loud and clear? I'm streaming straight to. Well, I got a nice little shine on my forehead. That's pretty good. I'm streaming straight to YouTube today. Not going through StreamYard. So hopefully audio and video fidelity will be better. That also means I don't have any chat overlay, but I do have chats right in front of me. So I'll address what people say, but unfortunately you won't see your names or faces on the screen, which is sad. Great to see folks from, let's see, places where folks are dialing in. We've got Portland, Oregon, USA, Earth. That's nicely specific. It could be a Portland, Oregon, USA, Earth in a different solar system, so I'm not sure about that. Berlin, Germany. That's great. Great to see you. Hello, Randall, Esra, and Indonesia. I was just in Indonesia, and I love Indonesian food so much. I cannot believe how savory and delicious Indonesian food is. The following sentence, after you look at a map, really becomes something of a no-duh. But when I was just in Indonesia and was eating every day, I ate every single day I was there, I discovered, wait a minute, Indonesian food is like if Indian food and Thai food, two of my favorite cuisines, had a very delicious baby. Normally, you don't rate babies on their deliciousness. That's an atypical rubric for such ratings. But in this case, it applies because Indonesian food is just that good, and I really, really like it. So I think we've got Croatia in the chat again. South Africa, Saudi Arabia, Seoul, Milky Way. Yeah. That's good, Randall. I was wondering whether you were an Interstellar or Traveler. I've been watching a little Foundation recently on Apple TV, and it's got my FTL, I'm FTL pilled now. So, okay. How is everybody doing? My goal for today, I have been adding, as some of you know, I have been adding anonymous auth to Serverpod. It's a very long-running project. I actually currently have an agent working on it on my side computer right now, and I'm going to click you can run that command button. I think, yeah, sure, whatever. So the final piece of that puzzle that I'm adding right now is the ability to merge accounts. It's a long story, but even without anonymous accounts, anonymous auth, if you can just add another account, that account, let's say I log in via Gmail and I'm like, I should really add Apple auth to this as well. Well, if I've already signed up via Apple auth, but forgot or whatever, now I've got two accounts and I'd really like to merge them. So that's kind of the last piece to this puzzle. The reason it kind of is coming with anonymous auth is that's a really easy gateway into needing to merge an account. Again, if you have Google Auth on one device, you load the app on another device, you kind of don't realize you're not logged in, you take some action, you create a little user data, then you're like, oh, wait a minute, I'm not even logged in. And then you add Google Auth again, you've got two accounts, so you need to merge them. So I'm working on that, but that means that for my very long-running kind of architecture that I use for projects that I'm serious about, where I had a heavily home-rolled auth system because I wanted anonymous auth. I can throw all that code in the garbage. And when you throw all of your auth code in the garbage, really the whole foundation of your app, all the systems that come together to provide the most basic information, like who is the user, can be rethought from the ground up. And so I know that I want to lean even more heavily into Serverpod's auth system, especially now that it has anonymous auth. And after this PR is done and merged, hopefully in time for the Serverpod 4.0 release, but I've really been dragging my feet. I'll be able to handle everything with that, and I'm excited about that. But then kind of all the other systems that I use in my apps can be rethought. I'm a little block signal curious, so I'm gonna check that out as well. I mean, I already had Randall on the show to demo it, but I haven't really thought about it since that day, and I don't know if I'm gonna get to it today, but that's kind of on my roadmap. So I wanna build an app that essentially has no features other than the ability to sign in, sign out, and probably create an extremely primitive data object just to, no, actually, I'm not even going to exercise like data merging. I'm going to totally lean on Serverpod for that. So I'm going to read chat for a second, and then I will resume blabbing. Esra, okay, Esra's on the Flutter AI Council. So when she writes, doing great, feeling more FOMO and weird as using AI levels up every week, trying to stay sane. Indeed. Aren't we all trying to stay sane? Failing to various levels. Yeah, I can do exponentially more compared to one previous month. It's not normal. It is, in fact. For a while, we've been using the phrase, the new normal. I think people started saying that during COVID. And the new normal is to always be living in a brand new normal. That's the meta normal. I'm allowing an agent to do more stuff. Chris says, I love Serverpod so much. It's the best, genuinely. Totally agree. It really is the best. You've done, Chris, that is, you've done 3 personal business apps with it, and Serverpod consumes very little RAM. Yeah, I mean, it's so good. It's great. And the features in Serverpod 4 that Victor showed off on this very stream a couple weeks ago looked awesome. But Victor was driving, and it was largely AI driven. He asked, I think Claude, make me an app as fast as you can. But we're gonna actually write code today. So, greetings from Cameroon. Hello, Cameroon. I have some an in-laws relationship is Cameroonian. So in my extended familial network, there's some Cameroonian pride. So great to see you. All right. Let me rearrange a couple windows because OBS is taking up the primary window right now, and you don't all want to see that. And then we will do stuff. How about that? This may surprise some of you, but I have reverted to VS Code because I am currently testing the new anti-gravity IDE extension. So, welcome back this old logo right here. VS Code's like, they always come back. Okay, I just upgraded the Flutter version on my machine to the current beta, and that is Dart 3.14, and that is what I'm going to use. What Serverpod am I using? Probably not 4.0. Is this even the command for this? Wow, that was good. This is good. Nice. Good, good. Nice. What's happening? It's like dumping the whole library of Alexandria at me. Oh, all that to say no. Greg, you're at a very old Serverpod version. Okay, well, the first step will be to update my Serverpod version. Nope, nope, come here. Give me the right window. Serverpod.dev. And we're going to install via the docs. That's going to use the framework. We'll do next. I think it's the same installation command. Actually, no, it's not. You specify version. Here we go. This is the one that I want. You are the one I want. Boop, boop, boop. Okay. Let's make this text cartoonishly big, as is tradition. Randall says, my Dart SDK skills would help your AGY know what's in 3.14. Oh, wait. What are these skills? What? Randall, you're also using the AGY extension. Well, are you using it in VS Code or a different editor? Esra, was I using anti-gravity before? I definitely was, but now it has been requested that we kick the tires on the IDE extension, and so that's what I'm doing. So now let's run the old Serverpod version again, and this should say, does not say what I wanted it to say. I wonder if the CLI, because this is actually the version of the CLI, I believe. Oh, I'm real suspicious though, because it's the exact same. You know what I'll think I might do instead? Let's switch to dev git serverpod, and let's do a git pull here. We'll get the latest coderinos. And now I'm going to activate, no, source is probably what I want. Source. This might work. It's thinking. Didn't change a thing. All right, let me see what I ran on my personal computer. 1 second. Okay. Dart pub global activate source path. And then I think I need to go to the, actually, I basically could just run this from the CLI folder. And then I think that same command, dart pub global activate. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, this might do better. Randall says yes, he's using VS Code. Pedro asks, how can I learn Flutter fast and easy? Well, Pedro, that would probably depend on what you already know. Oh, I realize I'm like maybe a little overexposed here, especially over a all white browser window behind me. Yeah, Pedro, that would probably depend on what you already know. Okay, this now, this is looking much better. So I will say Serverpod version. This should now give me a higher number. And then I think I will have victory. I need to learn more about like the global pub situation. What's going on here? I need to learn more about like global pub stuff. I don't know why the command that I ran earlier seemed to do nothing. There's something simple happening, but I don't like know what the moving pieces are. But anyway, that worked. So now we have the correct version of Serverpod installed, and we'll shortly be able to run Serverpod create, except I will first switch over to my, what is Craig's Corner? What the heck is this? Well, some project, I guess. Don't know why it's called that. Git my personal folder. Normally I put code in the Observable Flutter repo if I work on it on Observable Flutter. But today, because this has been a to-do for me for a very long time that I actually hope to use, I'm going to not do that. I'm going to make a new directory called Starter App. I don't know. What do I want to call this? I guess Starter App is fine. Starter Flutter App. Let's call it that. Yeah, could think about it all day if I wanted. All right, CD Starter Flutter App. Oh, I think does Flutter, or does, I forget if Serverpod create gives you a wrapping folder. I may already have like a thing to delete. We'll see. Serverpod create. I think there's a quick start one too. I'm going to go through the whole flow. And then I will git initialize, git commit the starting code. So we know all the differences between what I wrote and what was already there. Name is mandatory. Awesome. We're off to a good start. Okay, so this will be starter app. And, ooh, yes, this is what Victor showed. So I don't know. Oh yeah, not a module. Definitely not server only. There we go. Full stack. Boom. Database. Yeah, we're definitely using a database. I don't think I'm going to use Redis. Database it is. Flutter app only, app and website. I'm going to go app and website. Yeah. None? It's like, well, what are you doing here? Authentication. Yes, definitely. Okay, my current thing is VS Code. There we go. That's what I'm using. I wonder, this will already be an interesting thing. Like, because I'm using the anti-gravity extension, should I click anti-gravity? I don't know. Oh, I can click both. Love that for me. Okay, here's the summary. I like that. Press enter to create a project. I'm willing to press that button. Dart install replaces the old interface. Randall says, yeah. That's a good point. I should use Dart install. Pedro, you're asking, so yeah, well, not still asking, you asked a while ago. Yeah, so what's the best app for programming in Dart and Flutter? I mean, I think they're probably all pretty good. They're, Cloud Code's great. People love Codex, VS Code, anti-gravity. It also depends on whether or not you want the agent first flow or whether or not you want to have, whether or not you want to see code. And I think that would also depend on your answer to my previous question of what you already know. All right, did we get the wrapping folder? We did. That's so great. So I'm going to move everything from starter app up to here. That should work. Move doesn't have a recursive. Oh, do I just do like star? Oh no, I literally just don't remember how this command works at all. Everything from starter app up to here. That's what I want. And now if I ls LAH in starter app, it should be basically empty. It didn't give me all of the secret things. That's not terribly happy about that. Including dots. And then maybe I have to like escape this. I don't know if it's automatically a regular expression. Maybe I'll do this. Let's try that. Okay, now it's ls again. I definitely know how to computer. Let me tell you what. If there's one thing I know how to do, it's barely remember how to use the move command. So now I can remove, and I don't even have to do any fancy flags because it's an empty directory, starter app. Oh, remove dir. I still see. I tell you, starter app. Great. ls. Look at all these things. I'm so excited. Let's run a little get init situation. And let's do a git add all the things. And then a git commit message initial commit, as is tradition. Very exciting. I will now launch this in VS Code. And it begins. All right. The rubber's meeting the road now. I actually have to do stuff and stop merely talking about it. I do intend to use very little anti-gravity, very little AI. I will probably use AI to help me write skills once I have some code in place. And I'll say, like, analyze this code and then write the skill for how to expand on this pattern. But that'll be down the line. And then I will read that skill and make sure it is correct. Okay, let's start with some pub/spec things. Actually, I guess the first thing that I want to do is like have this be a mono repo, which it is. Lovely. That's so great. Okay. Love this for me. So let's install some dependencies. I'm going to delete all these things. Oh, Google Fonts comes pre-baked. That's nice. What is this? Connection to server is erroring. Oh yeah, they've got the new like local database thing to play with. So you don't even have to run Postgres. I probably still will run Postgres, but that's pretty cool. Oh, assets config. I wonder what else goes in here. This feels like a very Serverpod thing. I'd like to know more about that. Starter app Flutter. Okay, so I just said that I was add dependencies. Here we go. That I was block signal curious, but I don't remember whether or not there's a space in block signal. So I'm going to go to pub.dev and find out. Block. Actually, I'll just type signal. And awesome. Block signal underscore with, it's plural. Okay, there we are. Copy. Well, I guess I'm using that IDE extension. Add dependencies. It'll be here. All right, then I'm definitely going to use get-it. Always use get-it. I'm not going to worry about any UI stuff in this at all. I still kind of aspire to use Mix for UI things, but I have lost track of exactly how ready the next version of that is. So I'm not thinking about UI stuff at all today. What's that like auto injector one that, cause I normally just write my get it things by hand, but I'm going to try to grow. I'm going to try to mature and become, I don't remember what it is. Dart auto inject get it. Something that'll tell me what I want. Injectable? That seems like it's it. Yeah, that's great. Okay, injectable. Good, good, good. Thank you. Oh, my window went away. That's so sad. All right. Apparently you cannot change focus out of this window. Oh, I should make all this code bigger, shouldn't I? Cannot change focus out of this window. You will lose your stuff. So I wanted block, signals, get it, and injectable. And I'll add those before. I guess I need this one too, huh? I don't understand this. What do you want from me? I'll add the generator to the dev dependencies. Dev dependencies. Injectable generator it was. Of course, I use freeze for everything that I possibly can. So that's going to be a dependency of freezed annotation and JSON annotation. Yeah, it's literally what I just put. And then I'm going to need dev dependencies of freezed, build, and JSON serializable. I don't understand. Yes. Yes, those are the things that I typed. Well, that didn't used to happen. Something changed. Okay. This seems good. Oh, I use Go Router for sure. Nope, nope, nope. This one, Go Router. What else do I use? Never used Go Router Builder. Never done that. Don't know why that's there. All right, I get to close all of those. Lovely. I'm going to read a little chat. Use AGI CLI to invoke the commands for you. Yeah, I don't want to use any. I don't want to use AI today. I'm not feeling like I'm not in an AI mood. Is it better to Elda Zabah asks, is it better to code native apps for Android and iOS or just one code with Flutter? Oh boy, have you come to an interesting place to ask that question. That almost certainly very heavily depends on what you're building. But Flutter offers some distinct upsides to, I think, a very high percentage of apps that you might make. Flutter will get you on both platforms much faster and get you on the web much faster. Font size, please. Yeah, sorry about that. Hopefully, is it big enough now? I could probably even could do one bigger. Yeah, we'll do one bigger. You will probably also want block signals Flutter if you want to consume block signals. Although you can always use .state as a signal for consumption. I will want to use block signals Flutter and was wondering that this morning when I woke up early and was thinking about the stream today, like what builder widgets there were. Block signals Flutter, they're presumably in that package. Okay, what else? Oh yeah, Chris says, I hope this video will be available for download later. Yes, so all streams are immediately available as VODs, as the official account also indicated in the chat. Kaisel, not Go Router. Oh, interesting. Kaisel. So the thing about Go Router is that were architected before Dart 3 and organized them. Oh, yeah, okay. All right, so this could probably work. The thing that I use mostly with Go Router is that I just have this Go Router has hooks for methods that you can run where it passes in some state that tell you where you are, and then you can like do whatever in this callback. And I have a system that I like. It's probably not even very good, but I think of it as like declarative redirection. So I have a whole set of modules that just know certain specific rules. Like if you are authenticated and you're, maybe more realistic is like if you're not authenticated and you're on page XYZ, then GTFO. And so that allows the whole rest of my app to never think about permissions or, anything like that. Oh, guard pipeline. I'm sure this is exactly what I'm talking about. So no block, no widget, no data repository, like nothing has to worry about, is the user allowed to do this? Because this redirection system will have already kicked them out if they somehow land on an invalid page, given ACL rules. So I definitely want to continue to have that, but this could actually already be a fun thing to play with and adapt that. So direction aware transitions. Oh, interesting. Navigator observers. Okay. Well, it doesn't seem like I'm going to have to try too hard to adapt the system that I have to this. Okay, so builder. So we're switching on the route, so it has some idea of a route. Yeah, I'm interested in this. This could turn into like a Kaizel stream before long if I'm not careful, but maybe that would still just be interesting. Kaizel has guards, Randall says. Easier than Go router. You need to get the Kaizel guy on the show. What actually is Kaizel, Fadi asks? Well, looks like it's a routing library. Yes, guards have previous state, current state, and you can vote on the change. Vote? Is this a democracy? Where the user goes? Do I merely get some input into whether or not the user sees the screen? Okay, I'll try Kaizel. This could be fun. I do like its how is it with web routes? Because that's the one thing about Go router, right? If you have this string primitive route, it's not as lovely, and it's kind of awkward if you're not thinking about the web. But if you're deep linking to a web-based route, then like that's how, okay, URL addressable. So deep link to a branch stack or a module stack. Inactive branches keep in memory state across tab switches. I'm not sure what tabs they're talking about that we're switching between. Maybe this is like bottom nav. That's probably what it is. Okay, so this seems like it does have exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, well then I'm interested. So let's check out Kaizel. I'm gonna give myself another window. Oh, I've been reading really small README text. Sorry, folks. One day I'll learn how to live stream. So I'm gonna ungo router. And we're gonna call the new one stay router, because I am a cheesy dork. Kaizel ratting. You. I'm not running PubGet yet. Soon, but not yet. Do you know what you call someone who laughs at themselves? Yeah, a clown. That's what I would call myself. The block signals Flutter example is a core Kaizel app. Oh, okay. So I've got some possible source code that I can look at for inspiration. Love that for me. Okay, I think it's time to write a little code. And so now I will run Flutter PubGet. And we'll start organizing some stuff. Here we go. CD into the Flutter app. It's going to be a while actually before I really need anything involving Serverpod. I probably won't CD into the server directory on this stream. CD. No, I'm already there. I know what I'm doing. Next is Flutter PubGet. That's what it was. I can hold on to a thought. Not really. Okay, looking good. Good. All right, Flutter run. Let's see what the new, this might not work because it might try to talk to the server. I said I wasn't going to CD into the server, but I might be a dirty liar. Another thing, I leave a little make file for myself to remember the commands to operate my app. I'll probably add that before long. Okay, let's see. This is probably not going to work because there's no server for it to talk to. No, okay. I guess it's going to only talk to the server after I press a button. All right, cool. We're there. So let's go to main.dart, not main, Dart. This is the server, main.dart on the client. Make you smaller. Okay, so the first things first, the client is just a global. We're going to make the client injectable via get it and injectable. So I haven't used injectable in an extremely long time, and I'm going to remind myself how this works. Okay, so I've got injectable and get it in dependencies, and I've got injectable generator in dev dependencies already. Love, that's super good. Lean builder support. Now supports lean builder. Is that like a alternate go router? Or I mean alternate build runner? It is. I'm not gonna worry about that right now. I'm not gonna have enough code for these generations to take a long time at all. Create a new Dart file and define a global var for your get it instance. Okay, this seems good. I'm going to, I'll call this, I guess, dependency injection. So in my lib directory, I'll just make like a new kind of core file, I guess. That's normally what I call this. And then I'll have a new file in here, core.dart, export dependency injection.dart with with a semicolon. New file, dependency injection.dart, and paste. And now this will be dependency injection.dart. Okay, back to the instructions. Note, you can tell injectable what directories to generate for using the generate for dir property inside injectable init. Okay. Now we call this method in main.dart, which is still open. And we'll import this. Okay, I'll just type it. Okay, so you're of course very upset. I'm surprised that that little copy paste bit didn't have the other imports at the top that we obviously need. All right, what's wrong with init down here? We probably have to run get it. So first thing that we're going to do now is add the new client. We'll put the Serverpod client in a spot and make it injectable. So we'll just call this Serverpod client.dart. And out of main.dart, I'm going to basically copy all of this for now. Put that here, grab Serverpod client, and this is the generated client from Serverpod. And yeah, we'll do the Serverpod URL and kind of all these things. So I think I want to have a method or maybe a wrapping class. I'm not exactly 100% sure exactly what is the best. Let's look at the injectable. Yeah, factories. This is what we want for sure. To register cache factories pass true. Yeah, I don't know what it means to cache a factory. Okay, so we're going to have our own class and call it injectable. That will be it. So this may be a bad idea. I'll call it Serverpod service. The maybe bad idea was calling it just Serverpod. So Serverpod service. This client is now going to be able to be in here. You will become injectable. Were there parens on that? No. I'll import injectable. And here we will oh yeah, the client was set up here. So I'm going to get the server URL. This is going to need like an init method. All right, I'll worry about where it's called in a second. Future void. You know, I have this like readiness mixin that I use, and I might need to bring that in. Initialize. And we're going to start grabbing this. You come from somewhere. Cool. And now we grab all of this. And so the client is there, and we set it, and we need to bring in auth. Cool. So now there's a bunch of stuff in main.dart that we get to get rid of. Okay. So we have to call this initialize method and await its readiness. I think what I want to do, this might be like a crazy idea, but I guess after I configure the dependencies, then I could say get it, and then I'll grab a Serverpod service, which will be injected, and I will call initialize, and I will await that. Right? I think this will work. And then that's probably capitalized. Get out of here. I'll grab my core.dart. This can export Serverpod service. Serverpod client. I should call it service because that's what let me rename this file. Move to Serverpod service.dart. Okay. Good. All right. So let's run the build command from injectable, which is just like the normal one. Flutter packages. Whoa. What is Flutter packages? Pub. Have I like fallen behind? Do I know how Flutter works anymore? Okay, let's run this command, and now I will look at some chat again. Nikki says, Go Router is not even that hard. I agree, it's not hard. I do think there is a possible, there's opportunities to improve on its API. What architecture do you usually use when starting with a new app? Well, yeah, that's exactly what we're exploring here. Failed to update packages. Dart run instead. Yeah, boy, yeah, I'm super surprised about that command. And we don't need to delete conflicting outputs anymore. That's old. Couldn't find package build runner. What? Build and watch. Dart run, build runner, build. Isn't that exactly what I put? Dart run, build runner, build. Flutter pub get again? Could not find package build runner or file build runner. Am I? No need to add dev dependency on build runner. Oh, I do need build, not build runner. Did I add the wrong one? Pub spec. No, I just added build. Yeah. Oh, need to add dev dependency on build runner. Oh. Well, yeah, no, I had that backwards. Dev dependency, build runner. I actually don't need to specify build because build runner depends on build. I definitely had that backwards. Okay, cool. Pub get, make it do, and build. And this time it works. Excellent. Someone says switch to the client folder. You don't have to switch to the client folder in Serverpod. That is generated by Serverpod and is maintained by that, and you almost never look at that code. You do look at it if you're just like new with Serverpod and learning how things work. That's an interesting exercise, but it's different from like needing to look at it to write your app, which you don't need to do. Okay, so we have an init method, which is adding a Serverpod service. Let's go. We love machine-generated imports. Implementation 93, TK421. Why aren't you at your post? All right, so now we're beginning to have some real stuff. I don't know that I like where this line is. I also, of course, don't need this line for the app to compile, but this method does need to be executed at some point. And yeah, this is like definitely a to-do, replace with readiness, mix in. I guess I could do that now. Yeah, I guess I'll do that now. So that is currently sitting in another package that I have. I don't know if I'm going to need this package. I guess I'll add it for now. So one of my packages, actually my only interesting package, is called data layer. I don't know if I'm going to use much of that package moving forward because Serverpod has offline data sync, which is going to, and like caching and whatnot. I'll probably still use it actually. Anyway, it has in it this readiness mixin, because what I found I was doing all the time was having code like this where somebody needs to call this like some initialize method, and then once it's called, you kind of don't want further calls to it to do anything, and you want to have other things be able to just await when it's called so that the rest of your app doesn't have to worry about whether or not it's been called. And I was solving that problem over and over again and came up with a thing. So we're going to use that. And this is then going to use readiness mixin, which I will have to run Flutter pub get again to make available, probably. Okay. Are you now ready to import data layer? Cool. Cool. All right, so now Serverpod service is not yet satisfying readiness mixin, so let's look at readiness mixin. So something can either be ready or loading. I was exploring having an error state as well, and don't have it right now because I kind of thought like if something fails to load, then you know your app is just like probably hosed. I don't know. Maybe I should have had an error state. Okay, so this adds functionality. Actually, I used to have it, and I ripped it out because it was just feeling totally frivolous. Adds functionality to check and verify readiness. This usually constitutes completing some setup operation, but could also involve depending on another object's readiness and then taking an action. Setup can be synchronous or asynchronous, which should be transparent. I think I meant opaque to any code using this class. To use readiness mixin in one of your classes, implement perform initialization, and then when appropriate, call mark ready. That's right. To use a class which adds readiness mixin, yeah, okay, so this is to implement readiness mixin, and then this is to like write the code that uses the class. Await the ready future, which returns a value of type t. T is the central object this resource produces once ready. If no such resource exists, choose void. All right. So I guess this, we could make the client what we return. And that would mean, so we'll do that. And now this initialize method is going to become perform initialization. It kind of follows the like render object pattern where you have like layout and then perform layout and stuff like that. So in the readiness mixin, there are some completers, of course. There's the ready future that you await. And then initialize is the function that is actually called by outside code. And internally, it calls perform initialization. And perform initialization is where the initialization is performed. So we do this, and then the key is that we have to call mark ready, and I believe we pass the thing that we owe. So we've marked this as ready, and now, so still something has to call. Oh yeah, so initialize is no longer a future, but now in other code where we want to await readiness, what we could do, this would be, other code. We say final client equals this dot ready, and we await that. And we can call this code many times. It is idempotent. So within ready, we can see if we have not called initialize, it calls it. So actually nobody has to call initialize anymore. And then we simply return the readiness future. And then we'll have our actual client. And the Serverpod service wrapper is really nothing more than the glue code between the raw client and injectable. So it doesn't have any other knowledge of Serverpod, doesn't offer any other services from Serverpod in the current implementation. So I don't even have to call this. To review, this line can be deleted. And whenever I want a Serverpod service, I just grab it and then it will be ready. That's fun, I think. Looking down at what people are saying. Randall says, I have a great Dev2 article on architecture published yesterday, which talks about keeping async at the edge. Oh, interesting. Ooh, what are your thoughts about the Lego architecture? Well, I saw the interview with Anna and Emma. Actually, I don't know if that's been published on YouTube yet. If you're all like, what are you talking about? There's an interview coming out between Anna and Emma talking about the Lego architecture. It seems very cool. In that interview, you don't really learn you don't learn a lot of details about the Lego architecture because it's like a 6-minute interview. But it certainly seems interesting, and I should probably have Anna on for a deep dive. And actually, I had Anna on this show like 2.5 years ago to talk about injectable. And I should have adopted it more aggressively after that stream, but I didn't. Luke, we're gonna have company. I can quote A New Hope all day. I don't need, like, emotionally, I don't need to work. I could be very happy just sitting here quoting A New Hope. And Empire Strikes Back. And Return of the Jedi. And no other Star Wars movies. Audio is a bit quiet. All right. I have bumped the gain. If anybody else disagrees and thinks I'm now starting to clip, then please say so. Alrighty then. So now I think the next thing, actually, I'm going to commit here. I don't know why we have some uncommitted dot files at this point. Like, when did these get created and why aren't they committed? Is it because my commit or my git add star didn't add them? I don't know. I don't actually care about these things, so I'm just going to say random nonsense. And then what I'm really going to commit is what I do care about, which is initial dependencies and get it, injectable, and readiness. Mixin. Okay, cool. Now let's look at Kaisel. I think it's time for that. And then once Kaisel's in place, we can maybe think about auth. And then we can look at, what's the next thing we're going to look at? The redirection stuff. Packages, injectable. What am I doing? Kaisel. Why is it called Kaisel? What is a Kaisel? Is it a dragon? What are you? What's a Kaisel? What's a Kaisel? Is a large wyvern shadow soldier and flying mount belonging to the main character Sung Jin Woo in the popular media franchise Solo Leveling. Oh my gosh, this feels like the most meta thing in the universe. Okay, so this is Korean. Love that. Alternatively translated as only I level up. That is not. That's less good. Solo Leveling is better. Written by Chugong. And what's it about? A world where hunters, human warriors who possess supernatural abilities, so people very different from me, battle deadly monsters to protect all mankind from certain annihilation. A notoriously weak hunter named Sung Jin Woo finds himself in a seemingly endless struggle for survival. All right. Might have to check it out. If not, I'll just handle routing in my Flutter apps via Kaisel's. So the first question, I guess, I'm going to read this and think about it. No string paths, no code gen. Okay. I know a lot of people really like that. You make a sealed class for all your routes. So Kaisel route is their thing. App route is our thing. And then we extend app route. So all the paths have to be, if we go sealed, which is presumably a big part of it, all the routes have to be in one folder. Augmentations are really going to be nice for this. I actually don't know how augmentations will interact with the sealed keyword, but doesn't it feel like features should like add their own routes? Anyway, we're not going to do that. Product detail. All of a sudden I just thought like, oh, I should check down and make sure nobody's saying that I'm clipping. Oh, someone says Solo Leveling is a fun show. Interview with Anna has been out for a week, actually. Cool. Great. Oh, Randall says git add period, never git add star. So that's probably how I did that wrong. I guess dot is like in regular expressions is also the catch-all wildcard, isn't it? But it would be like dot star. Okay, so we add some routes. So this route is like product detail. So it gets an ID. This is all super obvious, like really simple. This is using equatable. That's cool. So equatable must be on Kaisel route or something similar. Final class confirm purchase, extends app route, another ID. Okay, that all makes sense. And then we make a router of type app route. We give it an initial. We haven't given it the actual routes yet, though. So where does that happen? And then we just push other routes. So the router is not aware of other routes until it gets them. It like doesn't have the whole route tree. Interesting. Or maybe there's like another parameter that could be passed to this constructor. Okay, I was reading this earlier. This makes sense. Start 3 as type machinery, sealed classes. Yeah. Good stuff. Kaisel is what a routing library looks like when you start from those primitives. Cool. Already looked at some of the features. Declare your type route. That looks familiar. Oh, here. Oh, haha. Yes, yes, yes. This is the missing piece that I was wondering about. Cool. I wonder if you can have like a builder on the route or no. I'm about to find out because I'm going to write some stuff. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to add is, what do I want to do? How do I want to approach this? I'm coming at it like it's pre-AI world. I'm just learning Kaizel for myself, thinking about where I want the code to go. It's, in the words of, again, Star Wars, it's an older code, but it checks out. So I think in core, I'll have a routing folder. And in here, I'll have a new file called router. I might have routes be separate. I don't know. New folder, new file, that'll be routing.dart, which to begin will export router.dart. And later, we might have like a routes.dart. And I know we're going to have a redirection.dart. Okay. So we're going to start with this piece of code. And there it is. And sure, home. Yeah, I guess. I wonder if you can use, freeze for these. Let's look at, oh wow, Kaizel route doesn't use, it has its own, doesn't use equatable. Runs its own thing. Surprising. Killer me surprised. Okay. That's fairly simple, isn't it? Why are you mad? What are you mad about? Create class home? Huh? What are you mad about? Oh, missing the closing curly. Okay. I don't know how that happened. I'm wondering, like, I think I'll actually just have login be the starting route because that is in the kind of conceptual flow of building something that users can interact with. Before I have any auth, I won't have any authenticated users. And so the place that they would go is the login screen. So I think I'll do that. Okay. Now let's go back and look at where the router itself is initialized. And that looked like this. So we make a router config. Ah, yeah. And then we pass that to this. This is definitely what we want. So, oh yeah, I meant to put these in routes. I was just saying that. So I'm going to rename this file to routes, make a new file, router.dart. Oh, we're going to export it. And here we are. Routes and Kaizel and login. This would be like splash, we'll get to that later. Okay, so login. We'll go to login screen. And product detail does not exist yet. All right, now we just need a login screen. This also is not going to be underscore. Let's do that. And then for the last trick, I could injectable this whole thing, but I don't think that there's really any point because the config is probably never used again after you set everything up. So I'm not really going to worry about that. I'll just grab this and back in main.dart. And here we go. Material app.router. And we don't need you anymore. I just need router config. Router config, and we'll pull in routing. Okay. And now we do not need, we're gonna need the sign in screen, aren't we now? That looks real suspicious, like a thing we'll use. Um, okay, so now we're getting to kind of more stuff as well. I'm just going to add this screen to start, but then more foundational pieces are about to start coming together. We're going to need an auth block to contain some kind of auth service. That'll either be directly like the Serverpod auth object or even another wrapper around that to simplify testing later on. Once we have that auth block, which we use block signals, man, my stomach is rumbling like crazy. I woke up really early this morning, so my stomach thinks it's like after lunchtime. Auth block's going to come together. That will create some kind of auth state that the rest of the app can actually look at. And then once we have auth state, we can begin adding some of the redirection logic, which will send a user to the login page or send them somewhere else. So it's like a lot of kind of pieces that in isolation don't like mean anything or do anything until this like minimum viable set of them come together, and then kind of the base app architecture like turns on, wakes up and is able to do the most basic stuff. All right, so we're getting rid of the greeting screen. We don't need that anymore. We're not using getIt in main.dart. So this is all looking nice to me. I'm going to close that file. We do need the login screen. So in screens, I'm going to get rid of, sign-in screen is its own thing. Ooh. Now, a thing that I've been doing recently is having, well, you'll see it. Okay, so I'm going to make a new folder, and this is going to be called login. Excuse me. And then I'll just move this sign-in screen in there for now. Actually, 1 second. Talking too much. All right. I yanked the gain up and down. So somebody tell me if it's too loud or too quiet. That's like the hillbilliest self-mute of all time. Just turn the gain all the way down and try to remember exactly where it was. Okay, so first I'm going to have, I'll have another file here called login block.dart, and I'll rename the sign-in screen to login screen. We don't need the greeting screen anymore. All right, so it's actually login block. I'm not even going to put anything in it for now. New file, login.dart, login.block will one day have such a thing. I'm not actually sure because login might be the one exception in this whole app where I don't follow my own standard architecture, because Serverpod offers this sign-in widget that is extremely comprehensive. And I think the correct play is to lean into that widget. It takes a bunch of controllers, so you could kind of hook your own state management and stuff into this widget. But I think it, even though it's a good way for the package to bundle and expose this functionality. Like in my own app, I would never write a widget that was this powerful. And so I sometimes feel weird about it. But I think if you're using Serverpod, you do want to lean into their auth widget. And so this block class like may or may not exist, because the normal kind of handling of events and processing that I would do in all of the other screens for myself, the widget and its internal controllers handle. So I'll actually delete the file and re-add it if and only if I prove to myself that I need it. Okay, so this is fun stuff. We're going to certainly get rid of this. We're going to grab the client through our setup. Login is going to export login screen.dart. This will allow the router to now import login. Get that? Why aren't you happy? Oh, because you require a child. Why? What are we talking about? Oh, it can be null. Well, in this case, it's going to be null. So, oh, that's, oh, yeah. No, that's not how. So the way the sample thing works for Serverpod is you show your home screen, that's widget.child, if the user signed in, and if not, you show the login screen. So you just have an in-place swap, and that's not how I'm going to do things. So I'm going to get rid of this. And then I'm going to get rid of the widget that is required. And yeah, it's not going to be the job of this widget to track any of this stuff. And in fact, then the client was like, probably, yeah. The whole point of the client here is actually to just get the is signed in, so we don't, oh no, we do need something here. Okay. So let's load the client. So the other option is to pass it into the screen. I don't think I want to do that though. Do I want to do that? What's going to be the most testable? I guess it'll be the same. You either pass it in and you pass in a mock, or you pull it out of get it and you register a mock in your test. So that's basically same. So we'll have here a client. And we will say client equals get it this is Serverpod service. Pull in everything from core. Pull in get it. And then this is .ready. Actually, so do I want to make this like a future client? This is the other kind of awkward thing sometimes. Yeah, I don't really need any of this. Don't need any of this. So now we can say a future builder. And the future that we'll pass in is the client. And the future is client. I guess we'll call it client future. And then we say if snapshot.has data, then we return all of this. Actually, let's say if it doesn't have data, then we return the circular loading parameters indicator. Nope. What do you? Come on, autocomplete, help me out. Oh, it's just circular progress indicator. Progress indicator. There we go. .adaptive. Aha. So this now becomes snapshot.data. Okay. Cool. And I'll come back at some point to figure out like other things about the sign-in widget. There's a lot. It's super powerful, and you have to think about what your login mechanisms are. And if you have single sign-on, then you need to register those things. I'm just going to probably start with anonymous only. Okay. Oh, and then I have to return this, don't I? All right. Cool. So a login screen is like kind of, we don't need to import main. That would be horrific. What's this? Show snack bar. Okay, we'll worry about that later. Okay, back to what I was thinking about. The example in block signals Flutter has Kaisel with auth. All right, I might look at that. We might need to adapt it to Serverpod, I presume. But if that implementation is pluggable enough, then maybe it'll just slot right in. So this is the block signals Flutter package. Oh, come on. Okay, so let's go to the repository. Let's go to block signals Flutter and example lib main. Oh, it's all in one file. Okay. Yep, Kaisel route as advertised. Let's make this text bigger. Got some things, a login event, username changed, password changed. So these are like on the login form, I'm guessing. It's certainly not, types in the username field. Not like saving it to the database. Submit login, log out, login state, login block. Let's look at the widget because that's where, what are all these things? Oh, events. What are these timers? Timer, block, and ticker. Randall, what's going on with all these timer things? Login, block. Timer state. Is there another timer block? Class ticker. Oh, I'm confused. Anyway, where's the UI? Oh, there is another timer block. Manages the countdown timer. I don't know what we're counting down. Maybe the UI would make that clear. Here we go. Login, blah, blah, blah. Oh, this is interesting. So the home route, right. The route is going to just take all of the data that it needs. Yeah, makes sense. And then because whenever you push to the home route, you just have to supply it. I like that. And then down, yeah, I don't know if I'm not sure how, I'll come back to this. I don't know how similar it's going to be because of using the Serverpod auth situation. Ali says, I don't like this block thing. Very weird and had too much boilerplate. Yeah, some people think that. You appear to be one of those. Okay. Remember, folks, we don't want to bicker with each other. I'm seeing some deleted comments. Don't type things that are going to get your comment deleted. What are you doing? What is the next layer to approach this from? I think I need to probably look at at Serverpod auth and look at, I need to set up actual anonymous auth, which would probably require CDing into the server directory. like I poorly predicted I wasn't going to do. Making sure anonymous auth is set up. Running the server. That'll require figuring out Postgres. That's why I don't want to do that on this stream. Is there a way that I can not do all of those steps? I do know that I am going to have like an auth service and an auth block, and they are not going to be related to they're not going to be related to the login screen. It's going to be like a floating service that will wrap Serverpod auth. So when Serverpod auth updates, it'll tell this service, and the service can tell everything else. And then even though I'm not ever going to replace Serverpod auth, the rest of the app doesn't know about it, and mocking for tests becomes extremely easy. So I think that is what I'm going to do. So I'll work on that next, and I'm not actually going to sign in. So in core, let's have another folder called auth. New file, auth.dart. And this can export a auth service, auth block, auth service, auth block, I think. That probably makes sense. Not really sure. I have to think about this more. And here I'm going to import block signals. And I'm going to import probably freezed annotation. And I think I'm going to say class auth block. And this is going to take an auth state, an auth event. And I never remember the order of those things. Why do you think auth state and auth event exist? Why are you not incredibly mad at me? Why am I not able to command click on anything? I'm not able to command. Okay, there we got one. Block signal base. Can I? Well, I have to say extends. It's because I'm not writing anything close to valid code. Extends block signal or signal block. Okay, there we go. Now we're cooking with gas. Sometimes, I don't know why any of you tune into this stream, because I barely know what I'm doing. So the event comes first. What? Get out of here. Auth state. Great. And those classes don't exist. And then this is where I personally love freezed. So I'm going to have an auth event class, which will be sealed. And we'll have one thing to start for that. Const factory auth event dot initialize is just an empty. Now normally I use a Mason file for all of this boilerplate, but I'll need to update that for block signal, and I just kind of want to like rethink about it anyway. So I'm typing it out. Okay, and then we'll have another abstract class auth state. This one doesn't need to be sealed because there's not going to be more than one version of it. Oh, and I'll need, I know on this one I'll need the old fancy pantsy. This isn't how this code looks at all. It's like this. And then I'll need the JSON thing that I can never remember. Ever. Here we go. Cannot recall what that is. I need it on the event. No, don't need it on the event. What am I talking about? I need it on the state. Do I need it anywhere? Well, maybe I don't need it. I don't know. I might have just made up a bunch of nonsense. And this requires an initial state, for which I'll use state.initial. And if there's anything that needs, we'll sort it out later. This build command might work. That's event first. Mr. AMG says, you were right. You were right, Luke. Randall says, I have Mason for block signal as a to-do. Yeah, I mean, I certainly can offer one. I think, obviously that's nice. I didn't write something correctly. I'm missing a semicolon. Oh yeah, the file is not auto-formatting, so that's super suspicious. Where is the missing semicolon? I see them at the end of all the lines, I think. All right, well, I didn't write this correctly, I guess. Oh, don't need these parens. Silly goose. Parens are for kids. Silly rabbit. Tricks are for kids. All right, then we need part auth block.freezed.dart. Probably needed that first. I don't think it generated anything. Hey, look at that. The code compiles. Cool. Cool. All right. So this auth block can become a thing that is going to be injectable. Sure wish I would have thought of that before I ran the last build. Okay, build, yeah. And then I'm going to go back to the router and connect it to the auth block. That'll be a thing. Oh yeah, there's like dependencies that it handles for you, which is nice. Packages, injectable. Okay, so we have super big code here. Parameters. Yeah, how do I say that they depend on each other? Manual order? By default, injectable tries to reorder dependencies based on their dependence, meaning if A depends on B, B will be registered first. All right, I'll just see if it handles that on its own. What's happening here? Okay, it's done. So in the router, which is, oh, this one's not actually not an injectable thing. So where do I want to put this? There's like a couple. There's on-screen changed. Could register it as an observer. I think observer would be incorrect. I think that's mostly, yeah, it's just observing. It's not like taking actions. This is for loggers and stuff. I want an on route changed, because on screen changed makes me wonder if that's, let's read the documentation for this. Oh, guards? Maybe, yeah, maybe the guards is what I want. Where do the guards get passed? Oh, I should just go read the documentation. Guards. Okay, this text is too big. Here we go. Okay, guards are future or list R function current proposed. Cool. They run in order, each receiving the previous's output. Okay, so we have an auth guard function. This is going to return a route, and it accepts a logged in value listenable. Oh, okay, I see. So we pass in the auth notifier. All right, so this is like a factory function. And what it's factorizing is another function. And so it's essentially currying this logged in. Yeah, makes sense. It's kind of capturing the logged in listenable and making it available to this other function that doesn't have that parameter. And then, so we've got current and proposed. Needs auth equals proposed.any requires auth. What? So proposed is a list because it's proposed.any. I guess that's a whole stack of routes. Interesting. And so then if we need auth and we're not logged in is the example here, then you go to the logged in. Oh yeah, okay. So we can see that it is a list of all right. Okay. And so then we have a list of guards. I wonder how this is going to fit with what I've typically done. I think I'm going to be able to skip a couple steps. Looking down at chat here. Oh, someone says, why not run build, run, or watch? I don't have a good answer to that question. Because I like pain, I guess. I don't know. Macros, argon, augmentation. Yep, still cooking on that. Folks are continuously asked to work on AI things, but augmentations are not off the roadmap. And I think there's some people still working on them like all the time as opposed to when they can. I'm not exactly 100% sure. Okay, route changed is a guard, Randall says. Oh. Route changed is also... Wait a minute. Route changed. Was that a parameter? Or was it like on route or something? Screen changed? You said route changed is a guard. That might have been pseudocode. I don't see route changed. Yeah, it was pseudocode. Yes, you are always looking at the whole stack or the portion of the stack belonging to the module. Oh, hey, it's the author of Kaisel. Current and proposed are both list of R, where R, I guess, is the route. Oh, yeah, it's the route subclass, so it's like app route. Okay. The current stack and the proposed stack. Code Farmer, I'd love to, I'd love to have you on. I don't know what your typical availability is on a Thursday at this time slot, which is 9 a.m. Google time, but I don't know where you live. But I'd love to have you on to talk about Kaisel in a generic sense. Okay, so do I want to use... I guess I want to use guards. I'm still not sure actually what on-screen change does. But I've now found the doc string. Okay, so this is called, with the route, the user is now looking at once per change, wherever in the app it lives, the main stack, a shell branch, a module, or a modal flow. This part of the sentence confuses me a little bit. It says, wherever in the app it lives. I don't know if I know what it is. It's maybe the route that the user is now looking at. I think that's maybe what it is pointing to. Unlike an observer's instance, which belongs to one navigator and so holds per branch state. Okay. I think that might make sense to me. This is a single app level signal. Switching tab A to B to A reports each screen once in order. Reach for it for screen view analytics. Reach for observers when a package expects a real navigator observer. So I am not writing screen view analytics. So I am not in the right place according to this docstring, which is quite good, especially the part that made me not confused anymore. Which means guards is what okay, guards get passed somewhere else. Where do they go? Where do they go? Where do they go? Guards. So you get passed to the Kaisel router. So that's where I'm going to look for guards. And that goes into this underscore list. And that's here. And is there any guards docstring? Run guards? Maybe that's going to tell us? No? Well, I could just read the code, I guess. I don't think I even need to do that. We've seen the example code. All right. So guards is going to be a list of guards. It was, right? Is that right? Yes, it's a list of guards. And those guards are Kaisel guard instances. Okay. So I'm going to initialize a new Kaisel guard of type app route, I believe, is what I want. And initialize it actually. Okay, and there's presumably some missing. Let's go look at Kaisel guard. Oh, it's a type def. Haha. Right, and it's the function that we saw of list current and list proposed. I'm so smart. Oh, yeah, I totally meant to respond to the theme question. It is theme. I've been rocking the mocha flavor of, I don't know how you pronounce this. There's like a lot of consonants. Katpuchin. Anyway, yeah, I like this. I used to use Synthwave 84 or something. And I used it for years, and then my eyes just got tired of it. So now I use this one. And then my font, that's how I get to settings. My font is font family. Yeah, Fira Code, which I just find to be super pretty. I used to use Consolis. It's probably how you pronounce it, the Microsoft font. And then one day it just stopped working, and I switched to Fira Code, and I think it's really pretty. So, okay, back to reading some chats. This is definitely going to be a Kaisel episode. It's certainly turning into it now. We only got a few minutes left, too. Guard is the middleware aspect. How to use it the right way using block, auth, and role-based. Fadi's asking. Oh, yeah, some Fira code love. It's so nice. Randall says, Kaisel Navigator on route change runs the guards to possibly update the proposed new stack route. On route changed runs the guards. So I think you're saying that a function that I was looking at earlier. No, but on route change, isn't that like, oh no. Oh, you're answering the one route change that I couldn't find. That's like some other function. Okay. Anyway, I'm just passing in the guards. Someone else calls them. That's great. So I do think I'm going to do this redirection thing, and I'm just going to steal other code and like try to adapt it, and we'll see how it goes. And that'll already take like probably the entire rest of the time. So redirection.dart. and then I'll export redirection. It's the old Kansas City shuffle. That's where everybody looks one way and you go the other way. Not going to worry about you right now. Not worrying about you. Okay, so this is going to be a, I don't know what I called it before. Let me pull up my other version of this. Redirection. Okay, so yes, I called it a Go Router Redirector, so I guess I'll call it a Kaisel Redirector. And it has these different redirectors, but specifically, it has a redirect method, which will take, I guess we can update this to the new function signature. So I'm going to follow this pattern, Kaisel Redirector, and it's going to have it'll be an instance thing, so it's not going to be static. And what is the return type on one of these guards? So guard, you're a Kaisel redirector, and you return you return, it's nice that it's future or, that's so friendly. A list of the route types. So in redirection, you're going to return a list of app route instances, but a future or of them. And this is redirect. So let's grab async and let's grab this route class from routes.dart. And then redirect is going to take list of app route current and list of app route proposed. Cool. And we have to return something. Okay, so in the old API, you returned a string if you were going to redirect. Now we definitely, so the null case for this, like in the old Go router thing, the null case was to return literally null, because this would mean don't redirect, allow the navigation event to proceed. The null case now, it seems to be return proposed. So now back to what this does, and I'm just going to copy all of this code and then we'll continue to modify it. Okay, so we need a logger. Yeah, and there's like route state that I don't. Oh yeah, the app route. What all do you have? What are some of your parameters? Route name. I'm also very interested to see how this interfaces with deep linking and like web routes, because I don't really see any evidence of how that would happen here. So there must be some other system that you have to kind of turn on. So I think I'll just kind of, this is maybe foolish. I'm only going to worry about the top of the list. Oh, is the 0 index like the base of the navigation stack? And so like current dot last would be what the user is looking at? Or is it inverse, where current dot first is what the user is looking at and the base is current dot last? I'm going to assume it's last is the current page. So let's go with final. I also don't think I'm going to care about current. I mean, I guess you could just send the user back to where they are. I guess that's the idea. Yeah. Then I would wonder, how did you figure out the new URL? I suppose on the web, you just typed it in. On mobile, it's like, what are you doing? Okay, logically, last is it. So proposed dot last is the like next route. And now I need to figure out in this world, and you can see here we don't have like auth state yet. That, oh yeah, that's right. I'm going to need to kind of do a little of that currying as well, just like in one of the examples that we looked at, because let me close some files. Yeah, so we're going to need, how did I set this up before? Router.dart. So I had a class that wrapped, oh, that's right, a class that wrapped GoRouter. And then here's the redirect method, right? So that took a build context and a router state. And then because I never use state classes from packages, I turned it into an app-specific state class. And then call an inner redirect method, which matches the function contract of nullable strings being the punchline. And then we either return that string or we return null. And then grab the, like the auth block stream. Oh, this also, block signal doesn't use stream, so this will be a little simpler. And call redirect as well. So like anytime the user state changes, we just run redirection logic to see where the user should go. But the thing here, this underscore redirect method, we'll probably see that down here. Yeah. Okay. So underscore redirect is the thing. So we have an instance of this redirection object that I'm thinking about, and we pass into it whatever other methods we want. So I think I want to follow this pattern where I could also pass in my auth state. So I need to have a redirection instance, which I suppose is going to become injectable. And then this is where I'm going to grab. Oh no, I'm going to also accept an auth state. That's what it's going to be. Auth state. Yeah. So let's grab all the auth. And so in here, we don't have a user object on auth state yet. So this is just like dumb for now. And there's roles was specific to that other app. Okay, sure. And oh yeah, do not leave was for like maintenance or like the app is down or something. I'll just comment that out for now. That app worked on a URI system because that was fairly, whatchamacallit, friendly, GoRouter friendly. I'm gonna have to come back and revisit this. And then we have the set of redirects. So that is definitely a part that I'm going to bring forward. So the way that this redirector worked is that we have a predicate function that is called to be like, hey, does this redirector apply? And then a separate function is called to say, where do we go? So this is probably going to, I guess, take essentially the same function signature as the top level redirect, which should maybe be called like maybe redirect. Okay, this seems good. And then this is going to be this will just be a list of app routes. I wonder if it should be a future or. I suppose it should, to stick with the full function signature. So get new route state. I guess you should just take all the functions take all the same things. Okay, so now we have this redirector idea. And then we'll go back up to this factory doodad. Where's the cursor? All right, I'm going to grab all of this, all of these things. And in the Keisel redirector, as you can see, I am not going to have running code at the end of this. Keisel redirector. And let's just start with like one anonymous users to log in. That's what we'll do. That's what we'll do. So we're going to have a single anonymous users to log in. Not really doing this yet. Anonymous users to log in. We don't have a logger. I'll just do that real quick. Not that one. Oh, I guess I do want to add logging as a... Oh, there's like fun logging packages. I should use a more fun logging package, which I'm not going to investigate right now. But there, I saw a demo a couple weeks ago, months ago actually at this point, for a super neat looking logging package. And it's just been it's been a lingering to do item for me to actually adopt it. Okay. So first let's make our anonymous users to login class. That's going to extend redirector. I'll just return true for now. Oh, that's predicate. Has to return true. So writing it this way would make it impossible for a user to ever leave the login page. And then where we're going to go here is to the login screen. No, login route. Routes? What did I call it? Login. Should have called it login route. Login route. That's another router. You're going to need to be called login route. Cool. So this is just going to pass current, proposed, and auth state into predicate. And then, so if predicate is true, then we get the new route state from that. And then all of this is like, yeah, there's some detection. Are we circularly redirecting? Are we going to ourself? I have to sort that out. Actually, that should be extremely easy. We just check to see if the stack is the same as the current. Oh yeah, okay. So new proposed. And because these use equatable, which is super cool. No, they don't use equatable, but they use almost the exact same thing. So if current equals new proposed, then we say, yeah, we're redirecting to ourselves, so that's ungood. And then otherwise we return new proposed. So minus logging and better handling and whatnot. And then, oh yeah, so this, if none of the redirectors hit, then we just return proposed. Cool. So the last thing that I need to do, and then I think I'm going to call it for today, is actually call redirect from router. So here we will say get it Kaisel redirector. And then after this, I'm going to look down at chat and see if Code Farmer and Randall are ripping their hair out, being like, bro, you are going around the block to get next door. Kaisel redirector. Yeah, let's just import routing. Dot redirect. Boom. There we are. Current, proposed. I think that's right. The argument type read-only signal auth state. Okay. Oh yeah. What's your problem here? Oh, return. So the other thing that will, so like, I'm just going to leave a to-do here. I don't really know where to put it, so I'll put it right here. To-do. Also set up watching this signal and triggering redirection if necessary. That's a giant point fall this. Constructor being called isn't a const constructor. I think I know what it's talking about. Yeah. All right. So this is like far from coherent and running yet, but it's stuff starting to come together. I'm curious how much this resembles the kind of architecture that other people use. Are people like, oh, you're vastly over-engineering these things. You're actually under-engineering them. You know, things are more complicated than you're appreciating. I'd be interested in hearing how all of this has hit folks. But before I sign off, I'm going to read these things. So Code Farmer says you should check the docs for codec. That's how deep links are handled. Okay, great. Randall says router.pushRoute adds routes to the last element of proposed, then calls guards. Okay, so that's like the Keisel version of context.go, which is the Go router trick. Whatever the guards leave, the stack is the new stack. Yeah. Okay. Code Farmer says Thursdays are great. Could come on sometime. Hit me up. We'll coordinate. I'm out of office next week, visiting some friends. And then I think I'm then I'm probably back for a little bit. Randall wants to create a logging package called Lumberjack. You're adding a mostly unnecessary layer, but continue. Redirect trigger is a listenable. Yeah, I'd be interested to see how you would handle. I mean, I guess what you could do. Yeah, I'm not really sure. I'd be interested to see another proposed way to handle this, because what I want is to have, like in this other app, this is GenLatte, which some of you may have seen on the YouTube channel or witnessed at I/O or Cloud Next. I want to be able to kind of have a whole bunch of redirection rules that are segmented from the rest of the app. And to do that, you know, you need some kind of structure to like set them up. Obviously, you need to put something in this piece of code that is going to do this stuff, that is going to analyze the state, compare everything, and figure out if it's on the up and up, and like redirect you if it's not on the up and up, if it's on the down and down. So I'm interested to see what. Oh, and then literally the next thing you said was, I think might be confusing with GoRouter. Anyway, all right, that's going to do it for today. We're sitting at 1 minute shy of 2 hours, which is plenty of time to ramble and pollute the internet with more of my deranged thoughts. Folks, this was super fun. I do want to continue doing this. I know on Observable Flutter, I often start things and say, I'm going to continue doing it, and then I never revisit them. I don't think that'll happen this time, because I actually super duper really do want to have this starter app reusable template thing ready to go for myself so that I can use it. So on that note, I will leave everyone. I love you all. Thanks for tuning in. I'm out next week, and then I believe I'm back, and then I'm out because I'm going down to LA to visit some friends to actually work on some Flutter software for their business. Look for a YouTube video on that like months from now. And then I'm in Cancun speaking at FlutterConf Latam. It's a hard life. And then I think I'll be back again. So off 1 week, back 1 week, off 2 weeks, and then back. I think that's the future schedule. Folks, this has been absolutely lovely. And I will, let me get this other window ready before I sign off. Yeah, I got to be able to click that button. Okay, I think I'm ready to click the buttons. I love you all. Happy fluttering.